will define and illustrate rational numbers, and we will compare and arrange rational numbers. So first, let us illustrate rational numbers and the family of rational numbers using Venn diagram. So this is the family of rational numbers. We have integers and non-integers. Under integers, we have negative numbers and whole numbers where it includes 0 and positive numbers. Now for non-integers, we have fractions, percent, decimals. Under decimals, we have the terminating decimals and the repeating decimals. So this is how we illustrate rational numbers or the family of rational numbers using Venn diagram. Let's have an example and define what is a rational number. So a rational number is any number that can be expressed in the form a over b or a divided by b. So again, a over b or a divided by b, where a and b are integers and b should not be equal to 0. Let me repeat, your a and your b or your numerator and denominator should be integers and your b should not be equal to 0 so that your rational number would not become undefined. Let's have an example of rational numbers. So we have integers. Under integers, we have -4, 0, 1, 7, and all negative integers, 0, and positive integers. Under integers, we have here the whole number. So dito papasok si 0 and all the positive integers. Another example, proper fraction, where we have 1/2, 2/3, 10/15. We also have improper fraction, 5/3, 15/12, 14/8. Percent, we have 50%, 3%, 75%. And for decimals, we have 3.5, 0.25, and 1.3 vinculum. So these are some of the examples of rational numbers which can be expressed in the form of a over b. So what are integers? So this is one of the examples of rational numbers. So let me explain. We have negative integers and whole numbers. So under negative integers, meron tayong -5, all negative numbers, syempre. Now, bakit siya? Why do we consider negative integers as rational number? Diba? A rational number should be expressed in the form of a over b. Now, I only have here -5. So, where is your b? So, diba, this is your a. So, where is your b here? So, -5 over 1. So, -5 can also be expressed as -5 over 1. -4 can be expressed as -4 over 1. Ganon din sa iba. So therefore, -5 can be expressed in the form of a over b. So negative numbers or negative integers are considered rational numbers. Now, under whole numbers, ganon din. I have 0 and positive numbers. So these numbers can be expressed in the form of a over b like this. So 0 over 1, 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, 4 over 1, and so on. Bakit? Because 1 over 1 is still 1. 3 over 1 is still 3. Alright? So negative integers and whole numbers are under rational numbers or examples of rational numbers. Now, let's proceed to non-integers. Let's have first the percent. So, a percentage comes from the Latin percentum, means by 100 or per 100 is a number or ratio expressed as a fraction of 100. That's why we have 100%, diba? When you got perfect, you got 100%, right? So, a percent is it's by 100 and it's expressed in the ratio of a fraction of 100. Now, it is often denoted using the percent sign. So I know you are all familiar with this. So this is the symbol for the percent. Okay, let's have an example. So if I have here 1%, so this is how we write 1%. This means 1 per 100 kasi percent means by 100. So 1%, 1 per 100. If we're going to express this as a ratio, so that is 1 over 100. Alright, so we have here A over B. So this is a rational number. Now, 50%. So 50% means 50 per 100. So that is 50 over 100. We have A and B. A over B. So this is a rational number. Now, 100% is 100 over 100, or exactly 1, because 100 divided by 100 is equal to 1. Now, 100% of any number is just the number. So, meaning, unchanged, hindi na magbabago. So, kapag tinanong, what is 100% of 5? That is still 5. 100% of 2, that is still 2. So, unchanged, okay? And then 200% is 200 over 100. So if we're going to divide this, that is exactly 2. So 200% is actually twice the number. So if you were asked, what is 200% of 50? So you're going to multiply it by 2, that will become 100. Alright? So 200% of 2, that is 4. Alright. Next, we have the decimals. So under decimals, we have two kinds of decimals under rational numbers, the terminating decimals and the repeating decimals. So let us discuss first the terminating decimals. So a terminating decimal is the exact representation of a fraction. So what do we mean by exact? Natatapos. Okay? So meron siyang ending. Alright? So, when we say terminating decimal, natatapos siya, exact, it is obtained by dividing the numerator by the denominator with a remainder of 0. So, kaya nga ang sabi dito, exact, because there is no remainder. So, ang naiiwan na remainder ay wala, 0. So, ano tayo? As wala siyang remainder kapag terminating decimals. That's why it is called exact representation of a fraction. So if I have, let's say, 5 over 10, if we're going to divide this, that is 0.5 or 0.50. Alright? So exacto siya. Walang remainder, exact ang ating decimal. Alright. Now, for repeating decimal, so terminating the exact representation, when we say repeating decimals, we have two kinds of it. So first, we have the pure repeating decimal. So what do we mean by pure? Ibig sabihin, if I have 0.555, and eto, meron tayong 3 dots, so ellipse, ano yan, continuous, ibig sabihin. So, 0.555, now, we can rewrite this, so lalo na kapag masyado siyang mahaba, syempre, repeating siya, nauulit. Sometimes, if you're going to divide a number using calculator, di ba, ang haba niya, yung masyadong mahaba yung values, yung meron na siyang dot, dot, dot. So, this is an example of repeating decimal under pure repeating. So, bakit siya tinawag na pure repeating? Kasi ang nauulit ay 5 lang. So, walang ibang nauulit kundi 5 lang. Alright? So, dito, we can express this since this is too long, masyado siyang mahaba. So, ang gagawin natin ay, we can have 0.5 and then you put a bar doon above doon sa repeating digit natin. So, since ang repeating digit mo ay 5, pwede ka na lang maglagay ng bar doon sa taas niya. Ibig sabihin, etong 5 na to ay nauulit. Alright? Repeating. Another example. If I have 0.181818 that, so I'm gonna write this as 0.18. Ang bar ko sa above 1 and 8. Bakit 1 and 8? Kasi ang nauulit na digits natin ay 181818. So ang bar natin ay ilalagay ko dun sa repeating blocks na 1, 8. So dun sa dalawang digits. Alright, another kinds of decimal under the rational numbers are mixed repeating decimal. So pag sinabi naman nating mix, merong nakahalo. So halimbawa ito, kanina, 0.555 lang ito. Pagdating dito, I have 0.45555. Ang nauulit lang dito ay yung 5. And then yung 4 natin ito. So ito yung mix, ito yung nakahalo. Alright? So what you're going to do is, you're gonna write 0.45. Dun tayo maglalagay ng bar sa 5 kasi si 4 hindi naman repeating. Okay? So the only repeating na digit is 5. So therefore, we're gonna place the bar above 5 only. Alright? Another example, I have 0.3181818. Alright. So, ganun din, I'm gonna place the bar above 1 and 8. Hindi kasama si 3 kasi si 3 ay hindi naman repeating. So, these two are examples of mixed repeating decimal. Now, anong tawag natin sa mga bars na inilalagay natin above the repeating blocks? So, anong tawag natin dun sa bar na nilalagay natin above the repeating digits? So, that is what we call the vinculum. So, the vinculum is the bar that indicates the repeating block. You're going to place vinculum doon sa ating mga repeating digits only. Next, we have fractions. So, for fractions, we have proper fraction. Proper fraction is a fraction where your A is less than B. So, di ba ang A natin is our numerator and B is our denominator kapag rational numbers. So, A is less than B. So, if your A is less than the value of B, then that is a proper fraction. That's why this is also considered as a rational number. Another example, under fraction is improper fraction. Improper fraction is also an example of rational numbers because even A is greater than B, kahit na ang A natin ay mag-greater than B. So, ibig sabihin yung numerator natin ay mas malaki sa B, like 5 over 3, 15 over 12, 14 over 8, still, we have A over B. Diba? So, we can still express this as A over B. So, therefore, improper fractions are also rational numbers. And then, for mixed numbers, ito yung meron siyang kasamang whole number and a fraction. So, this is a combination of a whole number and a fraction. So, if I have 2 and 2/3, 1 and 3/4, 3 and 4/5. Now, if you will be asking, a rational number can be expressed in the form of A over B. Yes, we can express mixed numbers as A over B. Diba? We can express this as an improper fraction. How? You're gonna multiply the denominator by the whole number and then you're going to add the numerator. So, 3 times 2, that is 6, plus 2, that is 8, and then copy the denominator. So, we have 8 over 3. 4 times 1, 4, plus 3, that is 7, and then copy the denominator. So, that is 7 over 4, and then 5 times 3, that is 15, plus 4, that is 19, so 19 over 5. Alright, so we already have A over B. So, under non-integers is negative 1 over 2 equal to 1 over negative 2 and negative 1/2. Okay, so try to analyze. Ito bang tatlong ito na iba-iba ang pinaglagyan ng ating negative signs or equal? Yes, they are all equal because there are 3 ways to write a negative rational number. So even if we put the negative sign on the numerator or even in the denominator or dito sa gitna nila, that is still equal. Alright, so pare-pareho lang yan. They are still equal because we have 3 ways in writing a negative rational number. Alright, so what is the relationship of these 3? So under non-integers, we have fraction, percent, and decimals. So etong tatlo na to, how are you going to express a half? A half, paano natin i-express yung half sa fraction, percent, and decimal? Alright, so for a fraction, we can have it 1/2. For 50%, for percent, that is 50%, and for decimal, that is 0.5 or 0.50. Now, let's have the comparison property of rational numbers. So for any rational numbers a over b and c over d, with b greater than 0 and d is greater than 0. Okay, so remember that your if a over b is less than c over d, then ad is less than bc. So if ad is less than bc, then ab is less than cd. So vice versa lang tayo. If cd is less than ab, then bc is less than ad. So vice versa lang siya. Alright, let's have an example. So I have here 2/3 and 4/5. So how are we going to apply the comparison property of rational numbers? So ganun ang gagawin natin. I-multiply natin siya. Ito, a and d, ayun. So 2 times 5, that is 10. And then, on the other side, we have 3 times 4, that is 12. Okay. So ano ang mas mababa, which is less than 10? Alright? So, since ito ang mas mababa, therefore, 2/3 is less than 4/5. So, ito yung sinasabi ng ating condition. So, if AB, ito raw, kung ito daw, kung ang lumabas dito ay mas mababa, ito siya. Mas mababa ito, therefore, ito ay mas mababa dun sa right side. Ito siya. So, 2/3 is less than 4/5. Or, 4/5 is greater than 2/3. Another example. 3/4 and 4/6. So this is 18. This is 16. So which is less than? We have this. So nandito siya. So therefore, 4/6 is less than 3/4. Or pwede rin namang 3/4 is greater than 4/6. Okay. Now, let's have the comparing and ordering of fractions. Mary bought 4 items in the market she needed for her tinola recipe. Which item did she buy the most and the least? So, first step is arrange the fractions in descending order. When we say descending, from highest to lowest. So, magsisimula ka sa mataas, pababa, para malaman natin kung ano yung item na pinakamarami or pinakamabigat niyang binili at yung pinakakonti. So, i-arrange natin siya. So, anong ibig sabihin nitong problem na to? How are you gonna arrange the fractions or rational numbers if you have 2 or more fractions? So, I have this. Now, we all know that this mixed number can be expressed as improper fraction. So, 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, that is 3/2. Alright? So, now, let us arrange the given rational numbers in descending order. So, from highest to lowest. Now, it's obvious that from the given items, chicken is the most or yung pinakamarami. 'Di ba? Siya yung pinakamabigat. Now, so ibig sabihin, siya na agad yung pinakamataas natin, yung 3/2. Why? Kasi meron siyang whole number. Alright? Now, so what's next? Ano yung second highest natin? So I have here 3/4, 9/10, and 4/5. So what are you gonna do? Compare using the comparison property. So i-compare natin ito. This is 30. This is 36. So which one is bigger? 36. So therefore, mas mataas si 9/10. Alright? And then dun ito naman tayo at saka si 4/5. So compare natin si 3 and 5, that is 15. And then 4 and 4, that is 16. So which one is bigger? 4/5. So siya yung susunod. And then yung least natin, yung pinakamababa, that is 3/4. Alright, so let us go back to the question. Which item did she buy the most? So, ibig sabihin, 3 over 2, that is chicken. And which item did she buy the least? So, and that is ginger. That is only 3/4 kilogram. Okay, how are you going to illustrate this on the number line? So, kung ito ang ating number line, ito ang ating fractions kanina from highest to lowest or in descending order. So, 3/2 is the largest o yung pinakamarami. So, dito siya. So, 3/2 is actually 1 and 1/2. So, dito yan. And then, sumunod ito, dito, and ayan siya. So, this is how are we going to place the fractions on the number line. Okay, so how are we going to compare naman? Compare and arrange fractions. Now remember, there is a shortcut in arranging fractions if they have the same denominators and numerators. Okay? Unlike yung previous slide natin that they have different numerators and denominators. Okay? So if you were given fractions with the same denominators, kung pareho ang denominators nila, kagaya nito, pare-pareho silang 5, remember that the bigger the numerator, the bigger the value. So kapag ang pareho natin ay denominator, the bigger the numerator, the higher the value. So if you're gonna arrange this in ascending, when we say ascending from smallest to largest, from least to greatest, so we will have, ano ang pinakamababa? Kung ang pinakamataas na number, ang pinakamataas ang value, therefore, ano ang pinakamababa? We have 2 over 5, followed by 4 over 5, and then 5/5, 7 over 5, and then 8 over 5. Alright? So, ito ang pinakamataas. Kasi kapag pare-pareho ang denominator natin, madaling makikita. The bigger the numerator, the higher the value. Alright, what if yung numerators natin ang pare-pareho? Okay? Halimbawa ganito, baliktad. So, ang numerators natin are the same. So, baliktad din. Kung ano yung mas mababang number naman, yun ngayon ang pinakamataas ang value natin. So, unlike this, kung ano yung pinakamataas, yun ang pinakamataas na value. Dito, kapag numerator ang pare-pareho natin o similar, kung ano yung pinakamababang number sa denominator, that is the greater value. So we will have, if we're gonna arrange this in ascending order, ibig sabihin from least, simula sa mababa pataas, ito ngayon ang pinakamataas mo. Kasi the smaller the denominator, the greater the value. Kapag ang numerators natin ang pare-pareho. So ito ngayon ang pinakamataas natin, yung 4 over 2, susundan ni 4 over 5, 4 over 6, 4 over 8, and the least is 4 over 9. Okay, let us compare decimals. How are you gonna compare decimals? So, let us use less than, greater than, or equal sign in comparing decimals. So, I have here 0.48, which is bigger or lesser than the other, or are they equal? Compared to 0.84. So, ang gagawin natin dyan, punta ka na muna dun sa kanilang ones value. So, ito yung ones, tens, hundreds. So, ones, tens, hundreds. So, compare mo muna yung ones. They are both 0. So, proceed ka doon. So, susunod yung tens. This is 4, this is 8. So, therefore, mas mataas si 0.84. Another. So, it's very obvious. Pag nakita na kagad natin that the other decimal is a negative number or a negative, there is a negative sign, automatic, mas mataas na kagad yung ating positive. Okay? Next, I have 2.5 and 2.50. So, which one is bigger or lesser? They are equal. Why? Since ang zero natin ay nasa dulo, so kapag nasa dulo ang zero natin, there is no value na yan. So wala na po yung value. So kagaya nito, may zero man siya o wala namang value yan. That's why they are equal. So 2.5 is equal to 2.50. Another example. So, medyo nakakalito siya. So, 0, ones. Ito, 0. So, 0 again, tens. Punta tayo sa hundreds. This is 0. This is already 5. So, ibig sabihin, this is bigger than this. So, we have 0.050 is greater than 0.005. And the last one, I have 80.125 and 80.1025. So, paano yan? So, that is, anong mas mataas? Ito po. So, this is greater than this. Why? I know some of you will wonder, Ma'am, this is 1025. This is bigger than this. No. Always compare the place value. So, ito, since pareho ang kanilang whole number, punta tayo sa tens values nila. So, ones, tens. So, this is 1, same sila. Dun sa hundreds, 2, this is 0. Alright? So, this is bigger than this. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell para updated kayo for more video tutorials.